What up? What up? Good to see everybody. Alright, it's saying that we're online here. And by here, I'm referring to the Facebook, by the way. What's up, Gibson? What's up, Mike? What's up, Amars? What's up, Celeste? What's up, Alan? What's up, Rob? The Crazy Eights. That sounds familiar. Is that a... I want to say that's a band, and it sounds familiar, but I'm not... It's not clicking right now. Good to see you live, Real Jingy. What's up, Chris? What's up, Statutory Grape? What's up, Daniel? I got an interesting question today I think you guys will like. Ska band? It sounds familiar. What's up, Andrew? Good to see you, buddy. We're at 25. We're almost there, guys. We're almost officially there. I'm monitoring that. For some reason, I felt like our Facebook was not going the way I thought it was supposed to. But it's saying here we're online. So if anyone's on my Facebook, if you don't mind telling me if we're live. Because I can't tell on my end. It's weird. And I don't have time to keep farting around with this, but if anybody likes my Facebook page, Ron Placone, which is just Ron Placone Comedy on Facebook, which I hope you would, you know, please let me know. We're on. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means you guys send me articles via Twitter over at Ron Placone, or you post it in our Reddit subsection, which is just Get Your News On with Ron over on the Reddit subsection. And that's how we do the show. I don't know what we're going to talk about today. Well, I do know because some you guys already kind of started sending stuff. So I know some of what we're going to talk about. And we're going to be talking a little bit about the election results a little bit more. Some people sent, I feel like yesterday we kind of focused a little more on the losses instead of some of the wins. And that wasn't intentional. I mean, I did mention, I was like, look, there's some reason to be optimistic. We did have some wins. But I guess I was closer to some of the candidates that lost, so I guess it was a little more fresh on top of the mind. You know what I mean? And also, as you guys remember, which I want to start out with a thank you, yesterday was a little weird for me. So, we've been talking about the Alex Jones thing a lot this week, and my take on it is that, well, I totally despise everything Alex Jones is about. I think it's important that we use the First Amendment and that Facebook, because of how big it is, be designated a utility. I know some of you don't use Facebook. That's fine. You don't have to. But the reality is a lot of people do. And at this point, it should be designated a utility because of how big it is and how essential it is to the public square, quote unquote. So, and for me personally, when I was locked out of Facebook yesterday, which some of you that were on the show, on the stream yesterday, you remember that, I was locked out of Facebook randomly. I don't know why. I'm not going to over-speculate as to why. I'm back on now, but for some reason, I could not get on. And I know that's happened to other people before. Other people have gotten random bans for random things. And for me, Facebook is something that I still use a lot professionally. I book a lot of shows via Facebook. I network via Facebook. I join groups for stand-up via Facebook. I find out about events via Facebook. So, you know, I mean, some people were tweeting me and they're like, well, who cares? It's Facebook, and I boycott Facebook. All power to you. Good for you. But, you know, it is in very many ways the electronic public square. And it is a kind of essential resource for information for a lot of people, myself included. Does that have some causes for alarm? Sure. But that's just the reality. So my question for the day, one thing that happened to me is when I got back in, I was kind of weirded out by the whole thing. I didn't know why I couldn't get in. I did post that I think that they should follow the First Amendment, and I think they should be a utility. And I thought, man, if by chance they were, you know, doing this intentionally and it wasn't just a tech glitch, which I'm not going to over-speculate one way or the other. But if it was, I couldn't help thinking, like, gee, that's all I did to get, you know, kind of blacklisted. That's crazy. And it made me think about all the contacts I need and all the information I need and all the stuff that I need. You know, like it made me think about all that. And it kind of, you know, I was a little alarmed. I was a little distracted. A lot of you guys could tell, I think. And by the way, my quick thank you to kind of divert here for a little bit. For a little bit, I was kind of getting in my head about it, and I wasn't necessarily, like, overly stressing about it, but I was a little stressed out. Rebecca, by the way, they did not tell me. They told me nothing. I just could not get into... I just couldn't get in. That's all. I was told nothing. So, no, they didn't tell me anything. But, so, you know, I thought about all that, and one of the things I did when I got back in was I deleted all of my personal info. I deleted information about my family. You know how, like, you could list your family? And I never listed anybody, but some people listed me. I deleted all that. And I deleted my relationship. And it felt weird when I did it because... You know, me and my girlfriend are totally fine. It's not like our relationship, you know... And I told her before I did it, so she didn't just see, oh, my boyfriend's not in a relationship with me anymore via Facebook, apparently. Like, I told her what happened, and I told her that I decided to do this. And, but it's weird, just for a side note, whenever you end a relationship on Facebook, they give you the option to, like, not see posts from that person. Because they assume that you actually broke up, right? So they're like, do you need a break? And then, so I had to see this do you need a break thing, and then a picture of my girlfriend, who I'm quite happy with. And I saw it, and I was just like, I got mad. I was like, fuck you, this isn't her, this is you. This has nothing to do with her. Like, I actually got angry about it. And... So my question is, and I know I went a long way to get here, and I apologize for that, but my question is, what's the happy medium? I mean, look, Nick Carr wrote a book called The Shallows, and the truth is that once technology is there, it doesn't necessarily go away. It evolves, but it doesn't go away. So this idea of we're just going to ignore the electronic public square, if you can do it in your life, all power to you. I can't in mine. I just can't. Maybe it has something to do with my line of work, but I just can't. I need Facebook, and well, you know what? Let me back up. Let me rephrase that. I need an electronic public square. And right now, the big behemoths in the room are Facebook and YouTube. Will I evolve with the mediums like everyone else? Of course I will. At least I hope so. But I need that. However, on the other side of it, I had no problem deleting my personal information. I don't feel like, you know, my girlfriend and I had dinner and we took a walk and we went to the gym, something we usually do on an evening, and it didn't change anything. It wasn't like we felt any weirder because we weren't on Facebook. You know, she didn't even care. I just told her and she's like, yeah, whatever you have to do. So, and when I see people, and I'm sure you guys know people like this in your life, and maybe you are somebody that does this, but whenever I see people sharing all of their kind of dirty laundry, quote unquote, on Facebook, I see it as a red flag. I see it as, okay, you know, especially like if they're really airing out information on their personal relationship and they're kind of shitting on another person, you know, like maybe they had a bad breakup, they're totally shitting on the other person and oversharing on a public forum. I see that as, I kind of see that as a red flag in general, and it makes me very kind of skeptical of that person's decision making. So I guess my question is, like, what's the happy medium? And again, some of you got off Facebook, all power to you. But I know some of you are also like me, and you really do need that electronic public square. Right now, Facebook is the big behemoth in the room. Will that always be the case? Probably not. Well, definitely not. But right now, that's the case. The younger generation's moving away from Facebook, so that won't be the case forever. But right now, that's the case. So what's that happy medium? You know, I mean, I think use it for mostly professional purposes. For Facebook, I post jokes, I post articles, I share content, I talk about events, and I use it a little bit to keep in touch. I found out about my high school reunion via Facebook. It's a high school reunion I'm not going to be going to anyway. Just because it's not worth traveling 3,000 miles for. Most of my friends in high school that I care to still be in contact with, I am in contact with. Thanks to Facebook, though. Honestly, I mean, Facebook has helped me keep in touch with a lot of people, and I do appreciate that part of it. On the same note, when I see people air out all their dirty laundry, I find that to be a little disturbing. And I had no problems deleting the personal information that I was never 100% comfortable with it being there anyway. Why does Facebook need to know who my mom is? Why does Facebook need to know who my girlfriend is? And especially with everything that's been going on recently, I think me deleting all that information was in many ways a long time coming. And yesterday, for me, was just sort of the straw that broke the camel's back. I spent way too much time babbling about this. So let's see what you guys are saying. What's the happy medium? Mars, I think it's best to just use it professionally. Facebook kept me in vicious cycles of negativity based on the things I was following. It is way too toxic. I think it certainly can be. Absolutely. It pisses me off when my dad checks us in everywhere. Right? Dude, and that wasn't directed at you. I don't know your gender. I'm not trying to. That was just a gender neutral aside that happened to be the word dude coming out of my mouth. But I noticed that, yeah, it is a lot of times, and if you're around my age, it is like our parents that get like super kind of Orwellian with it, where they're like, I want to check us in. Yeah, let's check us in here. Let's report every beer we drank. Like, dude. Let's not check us in here. But yeah, my girlfriend's dad actually was checking us in everywhere we went. Or trying to. He wanted to check us in. He actually can't use Facebook on his phone, so he didn't, but yeah. I joined progressive groups. I joined for rallies. I don't put any drama on Facebook. I never put drunk photos or anything embarrassing because even employers look up your Facebook. That's very true, Jennifer. That's very true. Daniel, Ron, I don't think you're paranoid at all. Paranoia is just acute awareness. They see the soapbox despite the size of any platform. As long as you're gaining ground, there are going to be eyes on you. Maybe. Peter Douche says, I suggest airing your personal laundry on Twitter instead. Make sure to add a Bernie hashtag. By the way, guys, November 2nd, Sacramento, California. November 3rd, San Francisco, California. Graham Elwood and I are going to be there. You can get tickets now at ronplacone.com. And who's going to be opening the show? My favorite Twitter Democratic strategist, Peter Douche. He's watching the stream right now. He's going to be opening those shows in Sacramento and San Francisco. Can't wait to see you, Northern California. Somebody actually told me that's technically Central California. I live in Los Angeles, so I've always considered Sacramento and San Francisco Northern California. But wherever you can consider it in relation to California, gonna be there. And Peter Douche is gonna be there too. So, and you can get tickets now at ronplacone.com. Tickets are available now. Grab them. Balthazar says, screw Facebook, I'm going back to Friendster. Balthazar also says that Miss Cleo is a happy medium. And Balthazar says, I imagine Mark Z asking Qs whenever Facebook asks them. That's actually a good idea. That's whenever Facebook's like, hey, do you want us to remember this memory for you? Imagine Mark Zuckerberg asking you that. And then imagine him calling you a dumb fuck. Imagine being like, hey, do you need a break from this person, you dumb fuck? No, Mark Zuckerberg, I didn't actually break up with anybody. I just don't want this information on Facebook anymore. That's what I don't want. That's good advice. All right. We got an article from Marcus. We got a tweet from Kimmy. And we're going to go to all that. But first, let's go to this article from Marcus. Mike Pence details plans for creation of Space Force in what would be the sixth branch of the military. You know, and I really do applaud the Trump administration in this case for finally focusing on the issues that are really important to people. I think if you go into the heartland and you go into a lot of the marginalized areas of this country that are struggling, and you ask them, what's really the pressing issue? The first thing they're going to say, our military is way too small. We need another branch. It really bothers me that there's only 5 branches. There really needs to be 6. And I think that 6th branch should really focus on fighting aliens. You know, I think we're due for another Area 51 at any point now. And it really bothers me. When the aliens are going to come, how are we going to be safe? I think that's what most people in the heartland are worried about. They're not really worried about, like, oh, I don't get paid a living wage. I'm working 3 jobs to survive. I don't know how my kids are going to be able to afford to go to college. I can't go to a doctor when I'm sick. I think they've got all that covered, you know. But I think what they're really worried about is when are we going to space? And why is the military so small? I think so. Way to go, Mike Pence. You got your thumb on the pulse here. So Vice President Pence laid out an ambitious plan Thursday that will create a military command dedicated to space this year and eventually establish a Space Force as the 6th branch of the U.S. military. In a speech at the Pentagon, Pence warned of advancements that potential adversaries were making and issued what amounted to a call to arms to join the military's dominance in space. Just as we've done in ages past, the United States will meet the emerging threats on this new battlefield. This is not an Onion article, by the way. This is from the Washington Post, which has the same journalistic integrity as the Onion. Well, actually, they have less. But they have less journalistic integrity than the Onion. But nonetheless, this is for real. Like, he legit said this stuff. I like how when they think about, when you're Mike Pence, when you think about the concept of space exploration, you don't think of it as we're exploring unknown territory. We might form new alliances with new civilizations. No, it's a new battlefield. It's a new battlefield. This is why, if there are more intelligent life forms than us, which I believe, I want to believe there are. I really do. I think that, and you know, again, this goes into the realm of faith and belief. This isn't, I don't have any science behind this. This is just my personal, I hope this is true. I would like to think there are more advanced life forms than us out there that know who we are and are aware of us and are kind of monitoring us. And I want to say that these civilizations, they only make contact when civilizations have completely ended all war of any kind. Like that's the kind of bar. They're like, oh, Earth, they still have war. We're not going there. Once they figure out how to end war, it's not that hard. You just make pot mandatory. It's not that hard. We figured it out a long time ago. Pot grows on our planet too. And again, that's, you know, that's just my personal, I want to believe that to be true. The time has come to establish the United States Space Force. So the creation of this new branch of the military, the first since the Air Force was created. Oh, cool. Yeah, cool. Good job, Washington Post. Way to go. Yeah, I need your store ads while I'm reading your dumb article about Mike Pence. In the meantime, White House officials have been working with national security leaders to aggressively move ahead without Congress. Pentagon will also be pooling space experts from across the military and setting up separate acquisitions office. And President Trump tweeted, "Space Force all the way! And while we're at it, we're going to start watering our crops with Gatorade." And in his speech, Pence acknowledged the difficulties in standing up a new service, and said the Pentagon will create an Assistant Secretary of Defense for Space. How are we going to fight? How are we going to pay for all this? Is anyone asking that? How are we going to pay for this? How are we going to pay for this? In a time where income equality is similar to ancient Egypt, we're talking about going to space and building a space force. Why? For war. Not for anything positive. For war. They consider it a new battlefield. Wow. Awesome. Good job, Mike Pence. Good job. So, we're going to go into a couple things that are related here. First of all, Kimmy shares this tweet. Fact check of recent hot takes. Our revolution won most of our state and local races last night. Justice Dems won 6 races last night. Over 200 Bernicrats have won races just in 2018. Our movement has changed the discourse and will continue transforming the nation for the better. So again, I feel like yesterday we kind of highlighted more on the bad news than the good. And I stand by when we were talking about how I don't want to focus so much on electoral politics. I want to focus on different things people are doing. I did mean that. And I do want to do that. However, we talk about electoral politics. It's you know, it's part of the show. You guys share a lot of articles about it, and that's great too. But yeah, I don't want it to just be so much heavy on that. Because you know, I don't really have much reverence for it. And I think some of you, I think a lot of you share that sentiment, and that's why you're here. I think that's something a lot of us share. We don't have much reverence for it. And that's fine. So, but we should focus on stuff outside of that, too. You know what I mean? But anyway, so there was some good news last night. Well, Tuesday night. There was definitely some good news. And so going on that, I want to share something else now that Jordan posted that I think is related, because one of the things that the corporatocracy is going to do and the establishment is going to do is they're going to try to marginalize these victories. Where's Jordan's article? There it is. All right. Okay. Got Jordan's article. Now let me give it a Get Your News On With Ron retweet so you guys see where we're at. And I think I forgot to give... Did I forget to... I think I forgot to give the first one a Get Your News On With Ron retweet. So let me go ahead and do that. Sorry about that, Marcus. Alright, so Kimmy, thank you for that tweet. That was a nice summary. I dig it. And now we're going to go to what the establishment media is saying about this, even though there were certainly some victories. So this is from Politico. I've actually seen this article, full disclaimer. But I think it's definitely worthwhile for us to go over. Down goes socialism. The Ocasio-Cortez wing of the Democratic Party thinks its policies are the path to victory in red states. Tuesday night's results suggest otherwise. Really? Because Justice Democrats won in Michigan. They won in Kansas. That might kind of say that you're wrong. If you thought Ocasio-Cortez's upset primary win over Joe Crowley meant the Democratic Party was poised to go socialist, think again. Tuesday night's largely Midwest primaries produced a near shutout. No, it didn't. It was mixed. Were there losses? Abso-frickin-lutely. And Al-Said was a big loss. Absolutely. That was a big loss. And this is coming from someone who, again, what we talked about yesterday, I'm not interested in tying up and putting a bow on losses. And that's not me trying to, I'm not trying to say like, oh, these candidates, I'm sure they work their asses off and I know that. I'm not trying to, when I say that, I'm not in any way marginalizing them. I'm just saying you don't gain anything from tying up and putting a bow on a loss. A loss is still a loss in electoral politics. But to simply call something a near shutout when it just definitionally wasn't. 6 wins is not a near shutout. And by the way, what is the anti-establishment left? Here, you know what? This anti-establishment part, not necessary. The left. That's all you need. Because the left is, by definition, anti-establishment. Because they're anti-war. The establishment is pro-war. They're, yeah, you get the idea. I don't need to keep going on that. The most glaring defeat came in Michigan's gubernatorial primary. Abdul Al-Said, yes. He lost, and that was a big loss. In fact, Clinton's endorsement, so this is the article, Clinton's endorsement appeared to carry the most weight in Michigan. You mean the state she lost? The state that frickin' loved Bernie Sanders and Clinton lost in? You think that her endorsement really made a big deal? Her late robocall in support of Haley Stevens helped take Stevens from second place in the polls to an election night victory in the suburban 11th district, a top Democratic target. While Perez Saad, backed by Ocasio-Cortez, placed 4th. And 2 other House primaries in Michigan, candidates backed by the party's official campaign arm, the DCCC, coasted against supporters of Sanders' signature Medicare for All proposal. Al-Said's defeat may have been the most noticeable loss for Ocasio-Cortez and Sanders, but the defeat of Brent Welder in Kansas is far more politically significant. Welder, a former Sanders 2016 campaign staffer, hoped to carry the Democratic banner in Kansas's third congressional district. The largely urban district is a top party priority, one of a handful of Republican seats that Clinton won in 2016. Oh, and in Kansas's 4th, the Progressive won. So yeah, in Kansas's 3rd, the Progressive lost. In Kansas's 4th, the Progressive won. So yeah, again, there were some big losses Tuesday night. Don't get me wrong. But there were also some victories, so to say there's been no progress, to say that this was a near shutout, is just simply objectively a lie. And to make the leap that Clinton had some major pull in a state that she lost to Donald Trump, a state that usually is blue, that is typically dependably blue, that yes, is a swing state, Michigan can be a swing state, usually dependently blue, and Sanders dominated that state in the primary. She went on to not be able to win it. This article is just completely a stretch in every way. A big-time stretch. So let me see what you guys are saying. Statutory Grape, thank you for the Super Chat contribution. It's funny that they are already calling socialism a failure when the neoliberal Democrats lost 1,000 seats. That's the definition of failure. Yeah, no kidding. You know how we fight bad ideas with no ideas? You know what? We got no ideas. No ideas are better than bad ideas, right? No, not really. No, not because you're just gonna help those bad ideas. That's what you're gonna do. Are you sure? But we're not those bad ideas. Yeah, you're no idea. I mean, Lewis Black said it in 2004. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Garden Gnome says, Jordan says, Michigan is only blue because of unions. Socially very conservative. Maybe, yeah. I mean, all the more reason. I mean, you know, Pennsylvania, again, generally, you can kind of say that about Pennsylvania too, but they're usually decidedly blue. And especially, you know, those types of places are more likely to be susceptible to a Bernie Sanders message. Trying to stay positive. I feel ya. That gives me some encouragement. Go brand new Congress. Garden Gnome says, I don't consider Justice Dem victories as significant. I see trying to reform the party in this way as being utterly pointless and repetitive. I don't necessarily disagree with you. Again, I kind of wish we had a brand new party, but we don't. So, you know, I'm rooting for progressive victories wherever we can get them. Although I feel like there's so much set up in the Democratic Party to make sure a progressive takeover doesn't happen that I don't see how that will work. But I've never been one in... If victories keep happening and they get bigger and bigger, I hope I'm proven wrong. I really do. I would be fine if I'm wrong on this one. And somehow they get rid of the superdelegates, they end the DCCC. I'd love to see all that happen. And I'll take the progressive victories where I can get them. Peter Dew says, socialism is history. Late-stage capitalism is the future. The voters have spoken and they want to keep losing. All right. Lucy's great. Lucy enjoyed her cat day yesterday. Garden Gnome points out, Ron, the DNC has firewalls they have built up over decades that prevent internal populist reform. Absolutely, they do. Abso-freaking-lutely. And yeah. And that's why I think we ought to start a new party. But right now, I mean, it's not happening. So, Balthazar says, Peter douche equals success. Peter Dow, 3 times failure. Yeah, some of those Peter Dow comedy specials were rough. I agree. I agree. All right. So let's move on to what you guys sent over. Oh, it's amazing I haven't gotten better at scrolling the timeline in real time, isn't it? Like some guys, they're like, I think he's gotten worse. He's he's gotten even slower. I swear he used to be. You know what it is? More people send stuff because we've been growing, which is awesome. Keep it up. Keep sending stuff. I know that means we don't get to everybody, and I apologize for that. But we get to as many as we can. So this is by the Daily Dope Show. And Daily Dope Show has this disclaimer. And the disclaimer is, I'm too heartbroken to do this story on my channel. Well, Daily Dope Show, I have good news for you. My heart can only be broken by my girlfriend or my mom. That's it. Nobody else can really break my heart. I always talk about that. So, this article is not going to break my heart. My heart will be fine. It will be probably full of too much salt, but nonetheless still intact. Let's go here anyway, see what's going on. Green the Vote submits unknown number of signatures in marijuana ballot efforts. Organizers have no idea how many signatures group has after inflated claims. So in Oklahoma City, marijuana supporters submitted an unknown number of petition signatures to the Oklahoma Secretary of State's office on Wednesday afternoon in an effort to get 2 questions on the ballot. The filing comes a day after news broke that Green the Vote had dramatically inflated the number of signatures collected for the 2 states' questions in an effort to increase momentum. Isaac Cavanis of Haskell serves as the president of the Green the Vote, which collected the signatures. He was asked Wednesday how many the organization ultimately had collected. I have no idea. Signatures needed 123,724 signatures in support of each state question by Wednesday's deadline. State question 796 seeks to ask voters to put the right to medical marijuana in the state constitution. 797 doing the same for recreational marijuana. Voters already approved the statutory change to allow for medical marijuana through state question 788 on June 26, but 796 and 797, that requires more signatures. So Oklahoma Secretary of State James Williamson said last month that if a sufficient number of signatures are verified and no protest is filed, it is highly unlikely that the 2 state questions would make the November 6th general election. If a protest is filed, making that date will be impossible. But Cavanis said Wednesday, why aren't we talking about possible? So they couldn't keep count. So you're counting on the powers that be to do the counting for you. And they can go ahead and drag their feet on this and then kind of not give you what you want. You know, and this is my first time looking at this, and certainly there's high-level corruption at stake here. If they got the appropriate amount of signatures, it should be on the ballot come November. It's August right now. As of the recording of this, it's August. They should get it on the November ballot. But I'll be honest here, and I'm not trying to come down too hard on the activists involved here, because I'm certainly not trying to marginalize their efforts or point fingers at them, but you kind of got to make sure you do everything in your power to keep count. I mean, that's kind of one of those things. If you're counting on the establishment to count for you, no pun intended there, you're kind of not doing everything in your realm to prevent corruption from taking place. You know what I mean? And I really hate to be the kind of negative Nancy here, but at first look at this, and please, in the chat, if I'm missing something, please correct me, because this is my first time seeing this issue, this is my first time seeing this article, and I'm a human being, just like everybody else. But upon first glance, it looks like, yeah, the state has made it very clear they're going to drag their feet on this and not give this a fair shake. Since they're already forecasting we're not going to get it on the ballot. Well, that's nonsense. You have plenty of time. But the other side of it, too, gee, did you guys do everything in your power to make sure you counted every single signature? Because if you did that, and if you had records, and if you had backups, and if you had the paper, and if you had, hey, this is what we got the signatures, and the story becomes, we got the signatures, why isn't it on the ballot? You got a lot more power in your court then. But if you're saying, I have no idea how many signatures we have, you're setting yourself up for them to be able to punt. You know what I mean? Well, let me see what you guys are saying. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I got something wrong here. That's possible. Garden Gnome agrees here. You've lost control of the process if you don't count. Marsha, I'm glad you're feeling better. That's awesome. Glad to hear it. I hope you can make it out to a show sometime. Which, we gotta the next Politics Night, I think you're in the Los Angeles area. The next Politics Night at the Dojo is gonna be freaking awesome. Comedian Robin Tran is gonna be headlining. She's amazing. She was just on Comedy Central's Roast Battle. And, yeah, that's on August 30th. And, of course, you can tweet at me to get on the list. So, Oklahoma also has completely obscene party ballot access requirements. It's one of the perpetual frustrations in the Green Party attempts to get ballot access. I'd imagine they make it very difficult. Schultzy, keep your news on, Ron. Thank you. Thank you, Schultzy. I appreciate that very much. And thank you very much for your Super Chat contribution. It means a lot. Ellett points out duplicate and invalid signatures make the count too hard. Well, and you're setting yourself up for them to make those claims, too. If you're putting it in the establishment's hands and saying, hey, count these because we didn't count them, you're setting yourself up for them to be able to make those claims. Whether those claims will be true or not, well, we have no way of verifying. I would bet going on ethics alone, I trust Green the Vote a hell of a lot more than I would trust the establishment in Oklahoma. A hell of a lot more. But, if you didn't count your ballots, or excuse me, your signatures, and you're just putting it in their hands, of course they're going to, oh, these are duplicates, oh, these are wrong, these are, You need to cover all of your grounds when you go up against the establishment, and even if you do, there's a good chance they'll stab you in the back, i.e. what happened in California when the nurses were told what they needed to put in a single-payer bill. They followed the instructions and did what they were told, and the powers that be, via Anthony Rendon, stabbed them in the back anyway. So yeah, I'm really sorry to see this, and I'm really sorry for the people in Oklahoma that, did a lot of work and effort into this. But you really got to do everything you can to count them. You really do. Okay. So let's see here. I'm back to the thing, and I'm slow. All right, this is from Celeste. Wait, I jumped too far ahead. All right, we're going to go Kimmy and then Celeste. And that's probably going to be all the time we have. All right. This is from Alternet. I used to go to Alternet a lot more. I don't go there as much as I used to, admittedly. But here's an article. Ex-Intel chiefs are right to warn of unprecedented Trump threat as he pushes idiotic deep state lies. Pulitzer-winning reporter. Okay. The spectacle of former U.S. intelligence chiefs taking the lead and opposing President Trump is making a lot of people's heads spin. On the right, the once venerated CIA and FBI are now scoring corrupt nests of liberal subversives. Breitbart charges the FBI as the command center of the anti-Trump deep state. On the left, the once mistrusted intelligence agencies are now seen as a bulwark against Trump's incipient tyranny, says Washington Post columnist Eugene Robinson. God bless the deep state. The confrontation is confusing because it is unprecedented. The White House and the CIA have clashed before, most notably during Kennedy, Nixon, and Carter, but never before have retired barons of espionage, subversion, surveillance, threat analysis, law enforcement, code-breaking, and counterterrorism turned so savagely on an elected commander-in-chief. Okay. So is the whole thesis of this article the intelligence agencies don't like Trump? Because we've known that for 2 years. Alright, so let's get to some of the interview here. This is with Tim Weiner. What do you think of the argument that the men you call intelligence and Miratai, Comey, Clapper, Brennan, and Hayden, have no credibility about Trump because of their role in mass surveillance and torture programs during the Bush years? If there is a body of thought that says Comey cannot be telling the truth about Trump because he screwed Hillary Clinton during the campaign, that Hayden cannot be telling the truth about Trump because he carried out Stellar Wind or because he watched over drone strikes, well, that is insane. That's the old line of F. Scott Fitzgerald. The mark of a good mind is to be able to hold two opposing ideas in your head at the same time. That argument is a straw man. Okay, here's two opposing ideas. You should be able to hold two opposing ideas in your head at the same time. Well, here's two opposing ideas. Trump is not good. But guess who else isn't good? The intelligence agencies who rely on an economy of war and whose incomes are based on getting us into more war. That's also not a good guy. So, via F. Scott Fitzgerald, I can fit those two truths in my head at the same time. You know, the world is not black and white. There's not a good guy and a bad guy. Sometimes there's only villains involved. And sometimes a predictor of future behavior is past behavior. So yes, do I find it hard to believe that the same agencies that lied us into Iraq, that push these intelligence-savvy narratives that allow endless war in our society, that have never met a war or for the most part a Republican they don't like, ever, do I really think they have some moral compass that they think Trump is some kind of rogue that's going to be so destructive for our country? No, I don't buy that. What I do buy is that they think Trump is such a nincompoop, he's going to have a hard time just pushing through the war economy with a smile on his face because he lacks any form of subtlety. He's already screwed up. He's already accidentally been like, we're just going to stay in Afghanistan until we get all their minerals, right? He's already done that. So they don't like him. They don't dislike him because he has horrible policy ideas. They don't dislike him because he's a plutocrat. They don't dislike him because he's willing to continue the endless war even when he campaigned as an outsider. They don't like him because they're worried he's going to screw up. Stephen Cohen, contributing editor of The Nation, says that Brennan and others they found Trump's list treasonous are criminalizing diplomacy. Comment: if Stephen Cohen has a soft spot in his heart for Vladimir Putin, he ought to examine it. Again, this guy talks about being able to discern opposing viewpoints and being able, and this person can't. If you say anything about diplomacy around the world, you must be a Putin bot. So, this person really favors critical thinking when it's convenient for their narrative. Thank you for sharing that article, Kimmy. Yeah, there's a lot we can gain from it. I appreciate it. Alright, so this is from Celeste. And then we are out of time, guys. I'm sorry this went by so fast, but we are totally out of time. UK paper promotes Noam Chomsky's charge on Israel intervention in U.S. elections. Okay, interesting. UK paper promotes Noam Chomsky's charge on Israel intervention in U.S. elections. The Independent legitimized the warped political views of linguist Noam Chomsky. Oh, and Celeste did mention that they smear Noam Chomsky right at the beginning. She's right. This week in a column by their U.S. editor, the article entitled Israeli Intervention in U.S. Elections vastly overwhelms anything Russia has done, claims Noam Chomsky, which is right, highlighted a charge made by the American academic in an interview with the fringe radical left talk show Democracy Now! Wow. This, man, no Adam Livick. Man, no bias here, Adam. The fringe radical left talk show. Okay, here's the Chomsky quote that was highlighted by the Independent journalist. Israeli intervention in U.S. elections vastly overwhelms anything the Russians may have done. I mean, even to the point where the Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu, goes directly to Congress without even informing the president and speaks to Congress with overwhelming applause to try to undermine the president's policies. What happened with Obama and Netanyahu in 2015? Buckham then contextualizes Chomsky's views by uncritically citing the widely discredited views of John. Okay. The power of pro-Israel lobby has long been one of contentious and disputed issues in Washington. Okay. But what Chomsky is saying did happen. Are you trying to say that it didn't? He pointed to something that historically happened because it did. And you're just writing it off because the other quote you don't find good. This is a very lazy article. This guy really likes the word radical. He really likes the word radical, and he uses it as a bad thing. He really likes radical professors. Those radical professors. In my experience, there ain't a lot of those. There ain't a lot of those, let me tell you. If by radical professors you mean people saying stuff to make sure they get tenure, there's a lot of that. So, yeah, this guy certainly has a certain agenda and really just wants to write off anything that challenges that. So, I'm not familiar with the outlet this came from, but, yeah, thank you for sharing that. And they really wanted to write off Noam Chomsky pretty quick, huh? We are totally out of time. So, I want to end this by going to the... Ron, check out Streamlabs OBS. I can make a tutorial. Works with Restream.io too. Thank you, Balthazar. I would love to see that tutorial, and I'll check it out. I do use Restream, so thank you for that. I hope you all have some cool weekend plans. Let me go to the chat, see what you guys are saying. Chomsky, the radical left versus the Cowabunga Center. I don't know what that means, but that's funny. That makes me laugh. Oh, Radical, the Ninja Turtles. How did I miss that? God, I'm a millennial. That's inexcusable. Cowabunga, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, used to say Cowabunga all the time, and they would say radical too. Radical, bodacious. Peter Douche, I see you've missed the new rebranding of neoliberalism as radical centrist. Oh, that's awesome. Ron, I talked to Graham. He said he would like to come on the show sometime. Would be cool if you could set that up. I too talked to Mr. Graham Elwood, and I will let him know that. He's in Seattle right now, which you guys, if you're in Seattle, you should come check him out. Next year, him and I will both be back in Seattle together. Hi from Denmark. Hi, Renee. Good to see you. And thank you for that picture of the sunset, by the way. I really appreciated that. That made me smile. It was very pretty. I don't know if that was from Denmark or where it was from, but I really appreciated it. Moderate Radicals. That's gonna be the name of our band, Mike. We're gonna have our band be Moderate Radicals. I hope you guys have some cool weekend plans. I have a date with my girlfriend on Friday. Me and my girlfriend, we're celebrating the fact that we don't need Facebook's frickin' approval. That's what we're doing. But no, we're having a date night. We actually don't even know exactly what we're going to do. We're debating between Shakespeare in the Park or something else. Those are actually our two Those are our two. You're in Bellingham. Bellingham is on our list. Me and Graham are going to do a Northwest run next year of our stand-up tour. And we're for sure going to Eugene. We're for sure going to Portland. We're for sure going to Seattle. And we're thinking about Vancouver. And we're also thinking about Bellingham. So maybe... CG, hey, was that you? Yes, I freaking love that picture. You put a hurling stick. So I made this joke on Twitter about how I used to give Obama a birthday gift every year until one year I gave him a Supreme Court pick and he tried to pawn it in for the TPP and it hurt my feelings. It's a funny joke, right? That's okay, right? But then CG tweeted or made a photo of Obama holding a hurling stick. And it made me smile. Some of you guys know that my hobby, I like to play the Irish sport hurling. Not curling. Not curling with a C. Hurling with an H. It is a fun game. Look it up. And if you want to get into it, move to Los Angeles and come play with me. Because I have nobody to play this game with. I made my girlfriend learn. There is a club here in Los Angeles. I go to it occasionally when I can. But weekends are tough with my travel schedule and all that other, So, and there's a park in Dublin. Now I'm babbling. I'm sorry. There's a park in Dublin dedicated to hurling. I'm going to be in Dublin in October. So I'm going to go. I'm going to go. And you know what's funny? I'm going to realize how bad I am at the game. Because in the United States, nobody freaking plays it. So when I'm at the park just playing it by myself, people think I'm a wizard just because I know how to do it. They're like, is that from Harry Potter? That looks interesting. And I'm just like, yeah. But I think in Ireland, because they grow up with that stuff, they're going to be like, wow, I've never seen a grown adult male be this terrible at this. And he has red hair. Is he one of us? They're like, no, I'm not. I'm American, and I don't even have Irish blood. So, don't judge. Actually, you can judge me. Teach me how to get better. I know I suck. I don't care. I just have fun with this. I think that shows how destined to not be athletic I was as a kid. I finally find a sport, and I enjoy a lot of sports. I've enjoyed playing them, but I've never enjoyed playing any sport to the degree I enjoy hurling. I've just never connected with the sport that much. I enjoyed playing soccer as a kid. I enjoyed playing American football. I was never good at it. I was never able to play for real. I enjoyed playing basketball. Again, I was terrible at it, but I had fun with it. But I never really connected with the sport the way I connected with hurling. I feel like maybe I could have done it for real. And that just shows how destined to not be athletic I was. The only sport I ever really connected with was 3,000 miles away, and I never would have been able to connect with it unless I was born in a different part of the world. Andrew, I heard your interview with Constance went well on the Jimmy Dore Show yesterday. It did. I'm excited to see it released. Me too. Do you have an idea of when it comes out? No. It'll be out soon. Our interviews take a little bit longer because, we have to kind of position them with all the other stuff, and we try to be strategic about how many interviews we release and when, so we do more just topical clips, and the topical clips have to take priority because they're more topical to what's going on in the news. You get the idea. But it will definitely be out soon. We try to have the quickest turnaround time we can on all interviews. Alex, love the show, Ron. Thank you, Alex. Thank you very much. Guys, I love all you very much. Shout out to our sponsors before we go, ZT.com, ZHIT.com. If you're in Austin, Texas, check them out. If you're not in Austin, Texas, check them out online because their tea kind of rules. BetterHelp.com provides online therapy. They provide online therapy. And guys, we talk about mental health a lot on this. If you think you need help, get it. Don't not get it if you think you need it. And BetterHelp.com provides affordable online therapy via an online session. You fill out a form, you're connected with a counselor, and then you have access to that counselor 24/7. They'll get back to you the best they can. For a lot of people, it's a good, affordable alternative to traditional therapy because maybe they can't afford that. Maybe your healthcare doesn't cover that. And if you're in that situation, it sucks you're in that situation, and it's a reflection of our broken system. But there is help out there that you can get that's affordable. So if you need it, please do get it. BetterHelp.com might be able to help you. Guys, I love you all very much. You guys make this show possible. Thank you for cheering me up yesterday. Thank you for being awesome today and yesterday and always. The Get Your News On with Ron podcast comes out tomorrow. Podcast is growing. We are on iTunes now, so please, if you do the podcast thing, please subscribe to us on iTunes and write us a review. It's just Get Your News On with Ron. We are very new. The podcast is this is our 3rd week. We are less than 3 weeks old, so we're very new, so you could really use some reviews. Please write a review on iTunes. You guys are awesome. Want to sustain this show on the sustainability level? Patreon.com/Ron Placone. You know the drill. For a pay what you can level, you get all kinds of exclusive content, free tickets to my shows, which November 2nd, Sacramento, November 3rd, San Francisco, November 23rd, I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Tickets to all those available at ronplacone.com. I love you all very much. Have an amazing weekend. I will be back Monday, and we missed Music Monday this week, so it is going to be a super Music Monday on Monday. It is going to be music AF, right? Is that what the kids say? Was this lit? Huh? Sorry about all that. I'm sorry. That was... Goodbye. Huh? You guys rule. Thank you. Have a good weekend.